My name is Sarah and welcome to The Bookish Knitter and welcome to a weekly reading update. So in this video today, I'm going to share with you all of the books that I have finished over the last week. This is for week 3 of 2025 and I finished 4 books this week. Very pleased with that. So we've got a couple mysteries and a couple romances. So the first one that I finished was The Cat Who Could Read Backwards by Lillian Jackson Braun. This is the first book in the Cat Who mystery series or the Jim Quillerin series. I know it goes by a couple different names. I've always referred to it as the Cat Who series just because every title starts with The Cat Who. So yeah, this is a reread for me several times over. It's a 5-star read. I absolutely love it. For those of you unfamiliar with this series, I like to dub it the original Cozy Mystery series, or one of the original, because I mean, Miss Marple would have been like one of the original Cozy Mysteries, I guess, if you consider it an amateur sleuth kind of a scenario. Perrault not so much, but definitely Miss Marple. But this was published originally in 1966. So I think she published the first 3 or 4 books in the 60s, took a hiatus, and then came back in the 90s and published the remaining, like, 25 books or something like that. So the series is about a man by the name of Jim Quillerin, who is a at the time of this book, of the first book, he is a reporter, and he was a very well-acclaimed reporter for a while. And then it's said, but it's not said within the book, that he did have a drinking problem, and he has now gotten sober. Like, he doesn't drink, he's gotten sober. So, like, when he goes to, like, the press club, as they call it, which is, I guess, where all of the reporters and stuff and they have a place to go and talk shop, I guess. He doesn't drink while he's there. He's always drinking tomato juice. And so anyway, yeah, so he's a recovering alcoholic, and he's, I guess he's gone through some rough times. It's really not told, like, what has happened, but you can clearly see that, like, he kind of jumped from job to job, took just, and he's divorced and stuff like that. So anyway, he's in there. It takes place in an unnamed city, but it sounds like it's in Illinois, somewhere near Chicago. I've always thought Chicago whenever I read the older books. The later books in the series take place in this small town near the Canadian border. So, like, the story progresses, like Jim's story itself progresses. But in these original ones, he's in a big city. So in this one, he is investigating, or he comes onto this newspaper, and he's the new art critic, and he knows nothing about art, but they're like, that's what we want, is we want someone unbiased, someone who doesn't know, from a, like, the everyman's perspective kind of an idea. So while investigating this, there's a murder that takes place, or while he's writing these stories, a couple murders take place, and he meets a man who is the other art critic for the paper, but like the more critical art critic, if you will. And Jim ends up moving into his house, into a downstairs apartment. And the man has a cat. The cat's name is Coco, and Coco becomes a big part of the story. He is the cat in The Cat Who. And he is a Siamese cat, and I just love the way the cat is described in these stories. Coco is amazing. I think it's in book 3 that we get Yum Yum, which is the other cat. So later on, you have both Coco and Yum Yum. And yeah, these are just delightful, absolutely delightful. You got to remember that it was written in 1966. So some of the way things are described, people are described as some women, even though this was written by a woman, take with a grain of salt, basically, right? I wouldn't normally say that, but I know that there's a lot of people who, police that kind of thing right now. So yeah, but yeah, I love it. These books are so great, and they're favorites of mine. The next one that I finished was Rocky Mountain Rivals by Joanne Rock. This is the first book in the Return to Catamount series. It is a Harlequin Desire novel. It is number 2877, originally published in June of 2022. I gave this 4 stars, and this was too spicy, too chili peppers spicy, meaning that there are a few open door love scenes in this story. So this is the story of Fleur and Drake, and it is an enemies to lovers romance. So basically the two of them knew each other when they were younger. She spent the summers in this small town of Catamount, Colorado, with her grandmother and with her 2 sisters. Now, her parents went through a very nasty divorce. Her one sister went with her mother, her other sister went with her father. The father, she sided with her mother, so the father cut her out of the very vast fortune, so she had to kind of make her own way, going to culinary school and things like that. But she used to spend her summers, the sisters always used to spend their summers with their grandmother. And the grandmother has passed away at the start of this book. So Fleur's back in Catamount, dealing with the estate, dealing with the grandmother's house and the land. And when she was younger, She was a rodeo queen, and that's how she earned money, by winning these pageants to pay for herself, to put herself through culinary school. Drake is the next door neighbor, and she actually had a relationship with his brother, a very brief relationship with his brother. But Drake and Fleur have never gotten along. So now she's back in town. The two of them are butting heads. The romance goes from there. I really liked it. It's the first book in the series that's a trilogy. So the other two books are going to be about the other two sisters. So I am looking forward to getting to those next. But this one I enjoyed. I mean, I gave it 4 stars. Joanne Rock writes a great story. And this one was a lot of fun. The next book that I finished was Murder on Ice by Carolyn Keene, which is the 3rd book in the Nancy Drew Files series. So this one was a lot of fun. Nancy and the gang, Nancy, Bess, George, and Ned, all go to a ski cabin in Vermont for a week of skiing, and of course Nancy gets dragged into a case because Bess lets it slip while they're checking in that Nancy is a famous detective, and the woman who runs the ski lodge, her name is Liz, she takes Nancy aside and she's like, there's some strange things happening, would you investigate for me? So Nancy does. Ned gets his knickers out of place, if you will, because every time they're trying to spend time together as a couple, Nancy gets drawn into another case, and this becomes a reoccurring theme in these books. So yeah, this one was a lot of fun. George ends up falling for the ski instructor who is Nancy's prime suspect, and of course a lot of peril on the ski slopes and things like that. It was a good story. I liked it, and I love reading them in these old... This just is such a throwback for me. Like, these are the ones that I used to grab from the library, because our library had the old spinner racks, you know, and these would be sitting there, and I would grab them, and I never did read them in order back then, and I don't even know if I've read all of them. I don't think I have, but it's fun going back through and rereading it through the series. I am enjoying it very much. And the last book that I finished was A Fairy Tale Ending by Catherine Mann, which is book number 8 in the Top Dog Dude Ranch series. This is Harlequin Special Edition novel number 3059, originally published in September of 2024. I gave it 4 stars, and this was 1 chili pepper, which means there was a love scene, but it was behind closed doors. It was fade to black. So this is the story of Isabel and Cash. And you do not have to have read the other books. I know I say this about all romance series, but you really don't. You are meeting characters at this dude ranch, this Top Dog Dude Ranch that you've met in other books, but you don't need to have known their stories to appreciate this one. So in this story, Isabel is a single mom to her little daughter Lottie, and Lottie has, I believe it's cerebral palsy. It's only mentioned once in the book what it is that she has, but she is in a wheelchair and she needs extensive medical care. She goes to physical therapy and stuff like that. So, much like the Joanne Rock book, her grandmother has just passed away, and she's got 2 sisters, and the other 2 books, the next 2 books in the series are going to be about the 2 sisters. So anyway, she has this daughter, and the problem is right now is the daughter needs a kidney transplant. And when I read that at first, I thought, okay, please don't go where I think it's going to go, whereas this is going to be an issue with money for her to get the kidney transplant, because that's going to make me very, 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 very angry. And I do appreciate and understand that the US medical system is vastly different than the Canadian medical system. And I need to try and keep that in mind, that I cannot compare the two. But a part of me still does, especially when you're dealing with children's health. But anyway, it did not go to a fact of a cost perspective, but more of a finding a donor perspective. Completely understand that. So Isabel is desperate to try and find this donor for Lottie. So Cash is a gentleman that she actually met in physical therapy. So he goes to the same physical therapy office place that Lottie goes to. And they ended up talking over the last 6 months. He's a former firefighter, or is a firefighter, I should say. And he was in a pretty bad accident and had extensive injuries and now needs physical therapy to get back on the job. So him and Isabel have become quite good friends over the 6 months that he's been at this physical therapy facility, along, with Lottie being there as well. And he's gotten very close with Lottie and her dog, Coco. Coco is the medical dog for Lottie. And so anyway, her grandmother has passed away, and she has this secret that she had this child out of wedlock that she gave up for adoption in this small town in Tennessee. And now she's put in her will that she wants her granddaughters to try and track down this mystery child, as this happens in romance novels. So Isabel and Lottie go to Tennessee for the summer, and Cash goes with them. He ends up driving Isabel to Tennessee to help her out, and then stays for a couple weeks to enjoy his time at this dude ranch before he goes on to actually getting a new job in another fire hall, excuse me. And of course, romance ensues. It was really cute. I liked it a lot. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I liked the representation with Lottie. I liked her as a character. I always have a hard time with kids in books, especially romance novels, because like sometimes they can be too much, sometimes they can be not enough. I thought Lottie was in the book just the right amount. Like she was really a catalyst in this story for how Isabel and Cash met and stuff like that. And the relationship between Cash and Lottie was really great as well. But I thought that she wasn't too much in the book. But does that make sense? I don't know if I'm explaining that as well as I could be. But anyway, yeah, so I did enjoy this one a lot. Again, a 4-star rating. So what am I currently reading? I am currently reading Their Unexpected Forever by Laurel Greer, which is one of the books in the Hideaway Wharf series. I think it's book 5 or 6. I cannot remember. And I'm also still currently reading Remember Me Tomorrow by Farrah Heron, which is a YA contemporary with some magical realism in it, and I am enjoying that one as well. So anyway, guys, that's it. I don't have any crafting really to show you. It's been kind of a bit of a weird week. I didn't do a lot. I did work on the bird a bit, but not a ton. I promise next week I will get back to showing you guys my crafting. And yeah, until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.